I never planned to write one of those long "and you're true" off my chest posts, but after what happened last Saturday, my phone keeps buzzing with people begging for the full story. Typing it out once will save me from reliving the play-by-play over and over, so buckle up, internet strangers. This is the unfiltered account of how my wedding turned into the most satisfying piece of revenge theater I've ever seen. I'm a 29-year-old project manager from Cleveland. Until 5 days ago, I was engaged to Ashley, a 27-year-old dental hygienist I'd been dating for 4.5 years. Everyone said we were nauseatingly solid. Zero drama, shared Spotify playlists, inside jokes about dog memes. The whole Hallmark package. When I proposed last summer on a hike, she ugly cried so hard she scared a family of tourists. I thought that messy, loud happiness meant we were bulletproof. Because my salary was almost double hers, I volunteered to cover most wedding costs, especially the big-ticket stuff. Ashley handled decor decisions while I wrote the checks. We opened a joint wedding account. I deposited $12,000 up front and added more whenever vendors needed deposits. She had access because she was calling florists during her lunch break, or so I thought. Fast forward to mid-March. I noticed our spreadsheet didn't match the bank balance. $2,000 was missing. When I asked, Ashley said she'd paid the band in cash to get a discount under the table. Sounded shady, but wedding vendors do weird things, and I trusted her, so I moved on. Late April, another discrepancy. $800 gone. This time she said it was for silk ribbons she found at a boutique craft fair. Whatever, ribbons are apparently expensive when they're French or blessed by elves or something. I shrugged and worked overtime to refill the pot. Things only got stranger. She started venue visits that conveniently required overnight stays. Each trip came with snaps of trivial stuff. Coffee cups, hotel lobbies, blurry selfie with a generic chandelier. Never the actual venue. She brushed off my questions by claiming NDAs. Certain high-end places supposedly forbid photos until contracts are finalized. I'd never heard of that, but I'd also never planned a fancy wedding, so I kept my mouth shut. Then, 2 weeks before the wedding, I came home early because a client meeting got rescheduled. Ashley's laptop was open on our kitchen island, with Facebook Messenger glowing bright. I wasn't snooping. The screen was impossible to miss. A message at the top read, "Last getaway before you're stuck with him." There was a heart emoji and a beach selfie of Ashley kissing some dude whose abs made my self-esteem file for bankruptcy. My stomach tried to exit through my feet. I scrolled up and saw months of messages with Brandon, a hygienist from the dentist office 2 suburbs over. The overnight venue tours were spa weekends in Nashville, Denver, and Cancun, funded by my wedding money and cushioned by the lie that I hated traveling before the big day because I wanted to stay focused. That was her line, repeatedly fed to Brandon every time he suggested dragging me along. Shock mutated into white-hot anger within seconds. I slammed the laptop shut, paced the living room, then did the one responsible thing I could manage. I screenshotted everything, emailed copies to myself, and printed a master timeline. Once the evidence was safe, I sat on the couch and stared at our engagement photos on the mantle. She'd just texted that she was running late at dress fitting. I thought, good, keep running. I considered confronting her the classic way, shout, break up, return rings. But the more I replayed all the bogus explanations, the more a colder, sharper idea took shape. Ashley wanted her picture-perfect wedding facade? Fine, I'd give her the audience she craved, plus a bonus act that would make the tickets worth every penny. Step 1, freeze the wedding account. I went to the bank the next morning, showed my ID, and pulled every cent into my personal savings, leaving $1,000 just to keep the account open. Step 2, visit our original venue, Lakeside Manor. I explained that the bride and I were handling seating upgrades and needed an occupancy certificate. Really, I just wanted to confirm logistics. On the way out, I chatted up the event coordinator, Leah, who'd secretly been reading Our Petty Revenge since college. When I hinted what I wanted to do, she laughed like Christmas came early and handed me a list of reputable alternate ballrooms. Step 3, book a backup venue. Through Leah, I found an available ballroom at a hotel 2 blocks away. They had a Saturday cancellation and could handle 200 guests. I paid in full, on my personal card, not the wedding fund, under a contract listing me as the sole client. The new venue even supplied a projector and screen. I tipped the AV guy before I'd used the gear. Step 4, alert the guests. Changing a venue last minute without tipping off Ashley was tricky, But modern mailing lists make miracles possible. Ashley had used a website to manage RSVPs. I logged in, our shared password was still sushi forever, and sent everyone a slight venue change for logistic reasons email. I marked the message private, meaning only the addressee would receive it, then manually unchecked Ashley, her maid of honor, and, crucially, Brandon. With the chessboard set, all I needed was timing. The week flew by in silence. Ashley was too busy finalizing florals, Red shopping for bikinis, to notice my calm demeanor. I hugged her, said I couldn't wait to marry her, and mentally rehearsed every line of my closing speech. Wedding day arrived. At 9 a.m., Ashley left for hair and makeup, humming along to a playlist I'd made for her months earlier. I packed an overnight bag and printed the final slideshow. Title slide, spending report, message screenshots, a photo of Brandon and Ashley clinking margaritas on a beach, whose sand definitely wasn't Ohio. I slipped into my tailored suit, grabbed the ring box, and drove to the hotel ballroom. Guests began arriving at noon. A few looked nervous, probably smelling drama through the polite veneer. I greeted each person with a handshake or hug, promised them lunch soon, and asked them to silence phones until the special presentation. The projector looped a blank white screen. The florist, paid with my newly reclaimed money, decorated the stage with simple green garlands. I'd canceled the over-the-top roses Ashley wanted because simplicity, I decided, would contrast beautifully with chaos. At 1:15 p.m., I texted Ashley's maid of honor, Liz. "Running behind, send Ashley to venue when she's ready. I'll have her bouquet waiting." Liz responded with heart emojis. Perfect. While waiting, I pulled Leah aside and handed her an envelope. Inside were 2 sets of documents, a notarized breakup letter releasing Ashley from any joint financial obligations, and an itemized spreadsheet showing every withdrawal she'd made. Leah's job was to give them to Ashley after the reveal, ensuring there was no stage for denial. 2 p.m. The double doors swung open and Ashley glided in, veil draped over one arm, clutching her gown like a prized trophy. She stopped mid-stride when she saw the unfamiliar carpet and chandelier. "Why are we at the Marriott?" she whispered, instantly loud in the hush. I walked to the center, microphone in hand, and motioned for the doors to close. 200 heads pivoted like sunflowers. I took a breath. "Thank you for joining what was supposed to be our wedding. Today we're having a different ceremony. One of honesty." I clicked the remote. Slide 1, date-stamped statement showing $2,143 cash withdrawal. "Ashley told me this paid the band," I said. Actually, it covered a Nashville spa weekend with her coworker Brandon. Middle of the room gasped. Ashley's bouquet hit the floor. Slide 2, selfie of her kissing Brandon, captioned with the messenger text. Slide 3, Cancun resort bill charged to our joint account 8 days after our cake tasting. As each image flashed, murmurs grew louder. Ashley's face oscillated between pale and furious. She stammered, "This is out of context." I let the room digest that line. Then I clicked to the final slide, a side-by-side of our original wedding invitation and a screenshot of Brandon texting, "Can't wait for you to dump him and move in." Silence thickened. I spoke again, voice steady. "I loved Ashley. I was ready to spend the rest of my life with her. She chose otherwise." I slipped the ring from my finger, held it up, then placed it on a small glass table next to me. Today, I return her freedom in front of the people who were supposed to witness our vows. Without waiting for applause or shouts, I stepped down. Ashley lunged toward me, hissing, "We can talk about this privately." I kept moving, past her parents, her mother sobbing into her stepdad's chest, past my best man who mouthed, "Holy crap," through a side exit where a cab waited. But I wasn't finished. The cab took me to Lakeside Manor, the original venue. As predicted, Brandon stood outside wearing a suit 2 sizes too small, looking confused beside an equally puzzled officiant. I walked right up. He recognized me from Facebook tags, and his jaw hinged open. "Venue changed," I said, handing him a card that read, "Check your messages." I climbed back into the cab before he replied. The driver, overhearing enough to piece things together, laughed so hard the car shook. Back at my apartment, I turned off my phone. Next morning, I skimmed the fallout. Ashley's parents demanded she repay the embezzled wedding funds and the money they'd fronted for her dress. Liz apologized for missing the signs. Brandon's fiancé, yeah, he was engaged too, posted a TikTok roasting him with my slideshow screenshots. Workplace gossip reached critical mass. Both Ashley and Brandon took personal leave. I expected grief, but all I felt was relief. I'd already talked to HR about transferring to our Denver office. New start, fresh apartment, zero memories of silk ribbons. The bank wire cleared Monday, and I booked a solo flight for next week. Vow to myself that the next time I propose, the ring will come with background checks and maybe a GPS tracker. To answer the question everyone asks, no, I don't regret it. Some say public humiliation is cruel, but Ashley's betrayal was a slow, meticulous choice that deserved a full-color mirror. She spent my love like play money. I paid her back in receipts. Call it petty, call it savage, whatever. I call it even. So that's the story. If you're planning a wedding, watch the numbers. Trust but verify. And if your gut whispers something's off, listen before the RSVP cards go out. My guest list came for a celebration and left with a cautionary tale, and I left with my dignity intact. Thanks for reading. If you need me, I'll be on a mountain somewhere, phone set to airplane mode, drinking coffee that tastes like freedom. Here's what filled the week between discovery and detonation, because Reddit loves specifics. First, I inventoried every odd expense that had nagged me. Lingerie store, boutique hotel, airport lounge charge. Each matched a date-stamped screenshot where Ashley bragged to Brandon about using the wedding ATM. I printed everything, pinned it to my home office wall, and numbered the evidence like crime scene photos. Turning hurt into data made me functional again. Second, I met Mara, my attorney friend. She confirmed that since we weren't married and the funds were demonstrably misused, I could drain the account without legal blowback. She also said a public reveal wasn't defamation if every slide was true. Her advice? Keep it factual, keep it brief, and record everything. Third, I brought Marcus, best friend, best man, human bulldozer, into the loop. He wanted me to vanish to Fiji. I wanted closure with witnesses. He accepted his new job as exit door security. I'll be the polite wall, he promised. Fourth, I rehearsed. I timed the slideshow so the entire display ran under 5 minutes. No melodrama, just chronology. Withdrawal, receipt, matching text, repeat. The final slide read, "If you still have questions, ask the bride." I backed up the file on 2 USB sticks plus cloud storage. Redundancy is revenge's life insurance. Friday night, Ashley slept at her parents'. I stayed in the condo, deleting our shared playlists, boxing the framed engagement photo, and photographing her belongings for the inevitable pickup. Around midnight, she posted an Instagram story of her veil captioned, "Tomorrow I marry my soulmate." The irony almost felt scripted. Wedding morning. I ironed my suit, skipped breakfast, and drove to the hotel ballroom. The florist, now paid directly by me, set minimalist greenery that clashed with Ashley's gaudy Pinterest board. I wanted the room sterile, like a courtroom. Guests trickled in, muttering about the venue switch. I greeted them with calm nonsense about better acoustics. Ashley's aunt said I looked pale. I blamed nerves. Technically accurate. When Ashley finally entered, she froze halfway down the aisle, eyes scanning the unfamiliar chandeliers. She asked, "Where's the quartet?" I clicked the remote. Slide 1 illuminated. The crowd inhaled as one organism. Her expression morphed from confusion to dread by slide 3. She tried to storm the laptop, but Marcus intercepted with a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Let him finish," he said. No one argued. I narrated only dates and dollar amounts, letting the screenshots speak. The shot of her kissing Brandon under a Cancun sunset earned a collective groan. Her mother whispered, "Oh God," as if praying for a rewind button. At the close, I removed my ring, placed it on a glass table, and said, "Vows require honesty. Mine ends here." I thanked everyone for coming and reminded them the bar was open. People actually applauded. The ugliest claps I've ever heard. I walked out, caught a cab, and swung by Lakeside Manor for the encore. Brandon stood outside wearing a discount tux, checking his phone. I handed him a business card reading, "Show's over, she's all yours," then got back in the cab. His face folded in real time. Back home, I watched the fallout online. Someone posted a shaky video titled, "Groom's Savage PowerPoint." It hit 10,000 views before midnight and spawned a Reddit thread rating my presenter skills. Unexpectedly flattering. Monday, Ashley met me at the bank to close the joint account. She wore sunglasses indoors and murmured, "We could have fixed this." I said, "You can't repaint a bridge after you burn it." The banker cleared his throat and slid the final papers across. I've since accepted a transfer to Denver. New city, new keys, 0 shared memories. Friends ask if I regret making it public. No. Private breakups get rewritten by the villain. Public receipts stay crystal. Lessons I'm taking forward. Trust but verify, separate accounts forever, and never underestimate the healing power of a cleanly designed slide deck. End of archive. Enjoy the popcorn Reddit. Some loose ends for the detail-hungry. Money trail. She siphoned 9,946.37s. I audited every line. Half went to flights and hotels, the rest to restaurants and spas for 2. In the spreadsheet, she labeled Brandon's meals vendor. Fixing formulas lit the cells like broken Christmas lights. Guest experience. A cousin said the reveal was horrifying and riveting. My 90-year-old grandmother whispered to Marcus, "Is this reality TV?" She stayed for the open bar and called it the best wedding ever because nobody wasted time with vows. Financial fallout. Ashley's dad demanded repayment. She Venmo'd me $4,000 with the note closure. I sent it to my travel fund. Iceland looks nice in summer. Work angle, HR opened an investigation after patients recognized them from the video. Brandon resigned before the meeting. Ashley deleted her social media, but screenshots are forever. The ring, a half-carat solitaire from my grandma. I had the stone reset into a pendant and mailed it to my sister. New story, fresh start. Therapy, 4 sessions before Denver. The therapist called my revenge structured grief, organizing chaos so I could step outside it. Accurate. Why I didn't confront Brandon sooner. He wasn't the architect. Just a volunteer. Showing Ashley her blueprint was the point. Future dating rules. Separate banking, random video calls when apart, shared expense audits. Trust should be provable. If any wannabe ethics professors argue public shaming, remember 2 facts. Every slide was true, and she spent 10 grand that wasn't hers. Consequences are algebra, not morality. This is the last update. Tomorrow the movers come, and my new apartment overlooks a trailhead. I'll wake up in a city where no one knows my story unless I choose to tell it. Feels like page 1 after a messy prologue. To anyone nursing betrayal, screenshot everything, guard passwords, and remember clearing the stage. Sometimes requires tearing down the set. Be your own tech crew. Now go live a twist they'll never see coming. One more small detail because people always ask about the venue staff. The hotel manager called me 2 days later to say they'd never hosted an event that ended with so many guests tipping the bar crew out of sympathy. According to him, the open bar rang up almost as much revenue in 2 hours as a wedding does all night. He offered me a voucher for a free weekend stay whenever I wanted. I told him I'd be moving, but I'd pass it to Marcus as a thank you for playing doorman to chaos. Marcus replied with a single sunglasses emoji and promised we'd cash it in for a guy's weekend once I settled in Denver. Bittersweet perks of public truth, I guess. Sometime next spring,